Very good evening. Welcome to Sri Bhagavad-Gita Satsang. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Today we'll be starting the Bhagavad Gita, the Song of the Divine, Chapter 1. The Yoga of Dejection of Arjuna. So first let me give you a very simple understanding of what is Bhagavad Gita all about. Bhagavad Gita is a treatise for all of us. Bhagavad Gita happens within us, and that is what we are going to learn throughout this 18 chapters, where Lord Shri Krishna is expounding and giving explanations to Arjuna how this body itself is a battlefield. Our life every day is itself a battlefield, and we have to fight many wars. So how do you fight a righteous war? How do you overcome some of the inadequacies and many more things is what today, we will be learning from Bhagavad Gita starting today onwards. There is nothing happening outside, in the battlefield. Our body is itself a battlefield. Our life is itself a battlefield. Every single day, I'm sure, whether it is at work or in your personal life, you're battling many wars. It could be, with your bosses. It could be with your wife, mother-in-law, children, you name it. These are the battles that we face daily, day upon day. And how do you overcome all of this and live a righteous life, the way of life as taught and as expounded by Lord Shri Krishna? His way of life is what we will be discovering through this Bhagavad Gita. So thank you so much for all of you who are present here and who are joined online. Really looking forward to a beautiful journey in unraveling what is the way of life as explained and expounded by Lord Shri Krishna. So let us begin chapter 1. Dritrasht said, Sanjaya, gathered on the holy land of Kurukshetra, eager to fight, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do? Sanjaya said, at that time, seeing the army of the Pandavas drawn up for battle and approaching, Dronacharya, King Duryodhana, spoke the following words. Behold, O revered master, the mighty army of the sons of Pandu, arrayed for battle by your talented pupil, Drishtadumya, son of Drupada. There are in this army heroes wielding mighty bows and equivalent military prowess to Bhima and Arjuna, Satyaki and Virata, and the Maharathi warrior chief Drupada, Drishtaketu, Chekitana, and the valiant king of Kashi and Purujit, Kunti Bhoja and Saibya, the best of men, and mighty Yadhumanyu and valiant Uttamauja, Abhimanyu, the son of Subhadra, and the 5 sons of Draupadi, all of them Maharathis, warrior chiefs. So in this 4 verse, what we learnt is the characters, and there are names of different people who are on either side. Now let us begin with the character. Dritrasht said. Who is Dritrasht? This is a very beautiful character. What does Dritrasht mean? What does Dritrasht represent? Dritrasht means one who is blind. The king was blind in love of his sons. He was very much attached to them. Why would this character come? See, this is what you need to understand. Just having a character doesn't mean that you understand in the way it is. You have to go into the spiritual aspect of it. So here, Dritrasht represents one who is blindly attached to his children. And he is attached to the kingdom. He wants, power. He's greedy for money, everything else. He's so attached to his children that he is not able to see anything in the light of truth. Even when the truth is coming to him, even if Lord Shri Krishna comes and stands in front of him and tells him, please don't do this, he's not going to listen, neither is he going to see. Why? Because his blind attachment. It doesn't resonate with you what it means. Even in our material world, our parents, even we are so much attached to our children, relatives, friends, family, very blindly. We believe that they belong to us. It is mine. So we want them to have the best of the thing. Even if it means going against the law of dharma, even if it means it is unrighteous action that he has to commit. This is where you have to understand the truth about what these characters represent. So let us continue. And also please remember, Dritrasht also means it's bondage. You're bound by the blind attachment and love for your children. So you cannot be a good king. You are not going to be able to do the justice or live a righteous life. And that is when, we have to battle our life to do certain things because we are attached to our children and we perform unrighteous actions. So next is Sanjaya. Who is this character Sanjaya? Sanjaya is the divine vision within us. It's the conscience. Our conscience is always going to say, oh, don't do this. It's a small voice, your inner voice. It's constantly telling you, when you're doing something wrong, it's always there to warn you. We'll say, it's my conscience. I'm not going to go against my conscience. So what does it say to you? Don't do this. But you know what? The attachment, the bondage, all that, overpowers. We don't listen. And then what happens? We end up doing that action. So we don't even listen to that inner voice. And that's the divine vision. It's telling, don't do. It's telling what you're doing is wrong. Next. Then it says, gathered on the holy land of Kurukshetra. What is this Kurukshetra? It is the battlefield. But where is this battlefield? It's not outside of us. This body is that Kurukshetra. This is the battlefield. So, we have to battle within ourselves to, fight a righteous war. What are we fighting against? To overcoming that blind attachment, to overcoming that which we try to do something wrong, and then lead a divine life, lead a righteous life. But what happens in the battlefield? There are both sides, right? We say there is Kauravas and Pandavas, but we'll also unravel, we'll decipher these characters as we go along. But right now, this is exactly what these characters represent. And the Kurukshetra is the battlefield, which is this human body itself. And how Lord Shri Krishna teaches to overcome all the inadequacies, the tendencies, the inherent nature, and become the divine being is what you will unravel. The way of life. How do we use this body to serve the purpose of the divine Lord? Why have we got this body? We are going to learn all of this. Throughout this 18 chapters, Lord Shri Krishna has beautifully expounded on that. And we need to understand the adhyatmic truth, the spiritual truth. To date, Bhagavad-Gita has been explained in different capacities. I'm sure you must also have heard many of those different explanations. But what you will learn here is completely very different and very profound. And then there is another character which we also learnt about. Who is Duryodhana? Duryodhana represents the greed within us. Why is this war happening? The war is happening because Duryodhana didn't want to give Pandavas their kingdom. So it's about greed. So I'm going to fight a war, and that too an unrighteous war. So that is what we're learning. So why should we have a greed? See, the more the greed you have, the more you want it. And at that time, you become blind towards whether it is righteous or unrighteous. You're not going to think about it. All you want is, you want to fight a war so that you achieve your objective. Why? Because you want more and more. The greed blinds us as well. So that's another character. So this is also a human nature. It's a desire that we have, greedy desires. We want to fulfill our, desires, which is so, the greed is insatiable. We want more and more and more. There's no limit. It's like a bottomless pit. So how do we overcome this nature, these qualities? We say Shadripus, lust, greed, desire, anger, avarice, malice, all these things, jealousy. We have to give up. So Lord Sri Krishna is going to teach us how to win the war within us in overcoming these, enemies of ours, and then becoming the divine being. So let us continue. O best of Brahmanas, know them also who are the principal warriors on our side, the generals of my army. For your information, I mention them. Yourself and Bhishma and Karna and Krupacharya, who is ever victorious in battle, and even so Ashwathama, Vikarna and Burisrava, the son of Somadatta. So who is Bhishma Pitama? Bhishma Pitama is that spiritual knowledge, or the spiritual mentor. Even in the material world, you remember, right from our childhood, we have always taught some spiritual knowledge. That could be even your parents, your grandparents, or maybe, somebody who's spiritually evolved, slightly better than other people, other human beings. So they have always been teaching you what is God all about. And they live a good life, they live a righteous life. They're divine beings. So these are the people who have given you the basic understanding. So this is the spiritual knowledge. And we get this from the spiritual mentors who are there in our world. And then who is Karna? Karna, in the Adhyatmic meaning is hearsay. The hearing. We have a defect in our hearing. We always go by hearsay. Why? Because whatever hearsay that we hear or listen, we believe that is the truth. And Karna is one such. Why? Because he believed into what he heard, and that impacted him. So I'm not going to go depth in this explaining, but we will unravel all of this as we evolve, through the chapters. So Karna is the hearsay. So never go by what you hear, because everything that you hear, see, it's all the senses, the sense organs, which is the perception of your understanding. And how do you understand, and what is the perception that comes about? You imagine, because that's why we say it's a perception. So when you hear something, you don't even know the truth or the context behind what is being said. But just because you hear something, your mind has already made a judgment. And then it's going to, imagine things that doesn't even exist. And that is why we suffer. We are always miserable within our mind, because our mind talks too much. So the most important aspect which Lord Sri Krishna is going to teach through Bhagavad-Gita is shut up your mind and shut up your mouth. It's most important is silencing your mind. And the thoughts has to be always good thoughts. The thoughts of goodness, the thoughts of divine, that is what has to be, and that comes with practice. And here Lord Sri Krishna is actually going to teach you how to become that. How to have these good thoughts, how to control your mind, and most important, how to have this focus, ekagrita, so that we don't get carried away by what we hear, what we see, that the sense organ should not come into effect. Like when the senses come in contact with the sense object, there should not be any reaction, because the mind immediately reacts. So Lord Sri Krishna teaches the most important lesson, which is very critical for us to live a beautiful life, the way of life, most important, a righteous life, and above all, to being a good human being in this world, filled with goodness and love. That is what we will learn. And also be a very beautiful leader. If you want to lead in this world, you first need to have these very important qualities. And so that you can always think about the well-being of everybody. It's not about me alone, but about everyone else. When you become better, that's when you can serve. I'm not going to use this phrase saying charity begins at home. That doesn't apply in all contexts, okay? Charity doesn't at all times begin at home. But in this case, just charity begins, because until you don't perfect yourself, you can't do something good in this world. So perfecting yourself is very important in this aspect. And there are many other heroes, all skilled in warfare, equipped with various weapons and missiles, who have staked their lives for me. This army of ours, fully protected by Bhishma, is unconquerable, while that army of theirs, guarded in every way by Bhima, is easy to conquer. Therefore, stationed in your respective positions on all fronts, do you all guard Bhishma in particular on all sides. So they're all saying, they're trying to compare. I mean, it's just not a compare. They're saying who is on whose side, who is, much powerful, who can be, what. That is what is being explained. So here the battlefield, how each, both the sides, the Pandavas and the Kauravas army are placed, positioned, who is part of whose side is what is being described here. The grand old man of the Kaurava race, their glorious grand patriarch Bhishma, cheering up Duryodhana, roared terribly like a lion and blew his conch. Then conches, kettle drums, tabours, drums and trumpets blared forth all at once, and the noise was tumultuous. Then, seated in a glorious chariot drawn by the horses, Sri Krishna as well as Arjuna blew their celestial conches. Now is the entry of Lord Sri Krishna. Who is Lord Sri Krishna? Remember, the battlefield is happening within this body, and there is, just assume there is a battlefield. There are armies on either side, and now Lord Sri Krishna and Arjuna, are in the center of this battlefield. And they are talking, and here is where the Lord is imparting this most profound and the esoteric knowledge to Arjuna. How do you fight the battle? There is no attachment to relatives, because Arjuna feels, the whole aspect of Mahabharata or this Bhagavad-Gita to come about is because Arjuna becomes weak in the battlefield. He's saying, how can I kill my own relatives? How can I kill my teacher? How can I kill, my grandsire, that is Bhishma Pitama. So how do I kill my brothers, everybody? So he gets into emotion. He gets confused. He doesn't know what to do. At that moment, he's dithering. And then Lord Sri Krishna says, in life, all of this is going to come. Similar is this existence as well. As in our life, we will have to many a time, fight a righteous battle with this bodies, relatives, and every other people connected. But at that time, you can't deter. There's no time to deter. And most important, it's all about empowering the divinity within you, understanding your dharma and swadharma. And that is exactly what Lord Sri Krishna says. There are no way you can run away from the battlefield, or not saying that I don't want to do this and I don't want the kingdom. That there is no option to all of that. You will have to fight the battle, and in the most righteous manner, and doing your duty for whatever you are born. That body has the duty, and that is something you have to do. And Arjuna is a warrior in this case, and his duty is to fight the war, and he can't say that I am not going to do. But here the character has been introduced, Lord Sri Krishna. Lord Sri Krishna is the divinity within us, one who is the charioteer. He is just the witness, he is only guiding you. But you have to lift your bow and arrow and fight, like Arjuna has to lift his bow and arrow and shoot, has to fight the battle. See, what does that mean? That means the Divine Lord is the one who's running our life, this body, our entire life. He's the charioteer. But when you give your charge to him, he knows to guide you through this whole process. But doing is your job. The Lord is never the doer. Please remember, he is only a witness and he is only a charioteer. He is not going to be doing it for you. You have to lift your bow and arrow and shoot. So the empowerment is what the Lord Sri Krishna teaches. How do you become him? How do you become the divine being? Empower that God within you. Take charge of your life. Today, see this knowledge, it's not something like, it's for somebody who has to fight a war and all that. This is for every human being, everybody, so that you can empower yourself, whether at home, whether at work, wherever you are. Until you don't take charge of your life, you don't get empowered, how are you going to be able to achieve whatever you want to? See, we are all then going to be just following the destiny. The destiny is anyway fixed, it's predefined. You have already come with a set destiny. And then you're just going to go in that. So why not overcome the destiny? Here the God is giving you that opportunity. When you follow the Divine Lord's, command and his guidance, then you can override the destiny. See, the destination is fixed, but the time taken to reach the destination or the route that you choose to go to the destination depends upon you. Please remember, Lord Shri Krishna himself is also the time. He's an essence of the time. So for him, time doesn't exist because he's the time. But for us, time is running. So today, if we do not focus on what we want to do and do things in the righteous manner and in a consistent manner, we are not going to be able to achieve. And the one aspect which Lord will discuss throughout Bhagavad Gita is about the qualities you need to have. You can't fear. What is happening to Arjuna? He's becoming emotional. So you can't have your emotions when you're actually doing some work. You have to kill your emotions because emotions can be detrimental from achieving your goal. So no emotions can come in the way of what you have to achieve. So please remember, so you have to keep your emotions in check. So all these things is what Lord Shri Krishna is going to teach us, teach Arjuna. Who is this Arjuna? You and I. This body is this Arjuna. The Lord is within us and we have to be that Arjuna and achieve what we have come here to do in this world. Shri Krishna blew his conch named Panchajanya, Arjuna Devdatta, while Bhima of ferocious deeds blew his mighty conch Poundra. King Yudhishthir, son of Kunti, blew his conch Ananta Vijaya, while Nakula and Sahadeva blew theirs known as Sughosha and Mani Pushpaka respectively. And the excellent archer, the king of Kashi and Shikhandi and Maharati, the great chariot warrior, Drishtadaumya and Virata and the invincible Satyaki, Drupada, as well as the 5 sons of Draupadi and the mighty armed Abhimanyu, son of Subhadra. All of them, O Lord of the earth, severally blew their respective conches from all sides. And the terrible sound, echoing through heaven and earth, rent the hearts of Dhritarashtra's army. So what does that mean? He's talking about the kind of warriors, the power that they have. The Kauravas might be many in number. The Pandavas might be less in number. But who's on the side of Pandavas? It is Lord Krishna. Please remember, when the Lord is with you, you don't have to worry. No matter your enemy's army might be greater. They might have all the might, they might have all the weapons, but please remember, the one greatest weapon that you can have with you is the Divine Lord, Lord Shri Krishna. He is that knowledge incarnate. He is the master of everything. He is the master strategist. He is the master of art. Art of war is known only to him. He knows the entire way of how do you achieve in the most righteous manner. But you have to exactly do what the Lord ordains you to do and guides you. That is the most important thing. And there is one caveat, and that is, do not use your mind. And that is what you're going to be learning here. Once you use your mind, then you will fail. See, the difference is, the Kauravas might have all the mighty people with them, they might have great warriors, all that. But even though the army, the strength is less on the Pandava side, the greatest strength is, who can never be equalized, is the Lord himself. When he is there any war that can not be won? Of course not. You can win any war that you want, but you have to exactly follow what the Lord asks you to do. And this is where we tend to fail. Why? Because the mind comes in. We think we know. We think we can do better. We'll procrastinate. All that happens. So how to avoid that is what the Divine Lord, through Bhagavad Gita, he has imparted the most profound and esoteric knowledge to Arjuna. That is what he is teaching us. And the sad part is, he has to come time and again to teach the same things, simply because we human beings never learn. It's like a dog's tail which doesn't want to straighten up. But here, the God is so kind, compassionate and benevolent, and he's manifest time and again to impart the same knowledge to us, so that he knows someday we will rise and do exactly what he ordains us to do and achieve our goal and objective in our life. So let us continue. Now, O Lord of the earth, seeing your sons arrayed against him, and when missiles were ready to be hurled, Arjuna, who had the figure of Hanuman on the flag of his chariot, took up his bow and then addressed the following words to Sri Krishna. Krishna, place my chariot between the two armies. Here starts the problem. And keep it there till I have carefully observed these warriors drawn up for battle and have seen with whom I have to engage in the fight. I shall have a look at the well-wishers of evil-minded Duryodhana in this war, whoever have assembled on his side and are ready for the fight. So what is Arjuna trying to tell Lord Shri Krishna? He's saying, please, I just want to once look before I start the war, or before I even take the bow and shoot the arrow. I just want to see who's on my enemy's side. And I just want to once look the well-wishers who are there on his side. But is that the reason why he's saying? No, there is a lot of emotions going under him. There's underneath current, how can I fight? What's going to happen? I can't kill. You feel weak at the moment. He's feeling very weak, but obviously he's not going to say, but he's going to say now. And he's thinking, how can I fight? I want to see what's going to happen. How many, if I kill all of these people, then what happens? So all these kind of thoughts are, plaguing his mind. Sanjaya said, O king, thus addressed by Arjuna, Lord Shri Krishna placed the magnificent chariot between the two armies in front of Bhishma, Drona, and all the kings, and said, Arjuna, behold these Kauravas assembled here. So again, there's a character mentioned, Dronacharya. And also we learnt about Kripacharya. Sorry, I didn't mention about who are these characters again. Dronacharya is our material worldly teacher, the teacher in the material world. They can even be mentors who actually teach you how do you achieve success in the material world. And they can also, teach about various subjects. And they are these Raj Gurus who are only there to give you that knowledge. It's about art of war and, using different kinds of weapons, tools, so that you become a great warrior. So these are the teachers in our material world also. See, we go to college, we learn different subjects from different teachers. So we have mentors who enable us to actually, develop our capabilities and skills so that we can achieve great success in our career, in our professional world. So similarly, even in case of Arjuna, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, they are the teachers. Dronacharya taught Arjuna how to, shoot the, all the weapons, how to use the weapons. He taught him to become a great warrior. So all of them are assembled, and now Arjuna is like waiting. He's watching them. Now what happens? Let us see. Now Arjuna saw stationed there in both the armies his uncles, granduncles and teachers. Even great-granduncles, maternal uncles, brothers and cousins, sons and nephews and grandnephews, even so friends, father-in-law and well-wishers as well. Seeing all the relations present there, Arjuna was overcome by deep compassion and spoke thus in sorrow. So what happens? We get lost. We become very emotional, That's what is called blind attachment. We're so attached to the material, the bodies, this bodies, relatives. It could be brother, sister, son, father, all the relatives were mentioned here, right? So we're just attached to them. Why do we need to get attached to anybody? Please remember, we are born because of our karma in certain family. We take a certain birth and we are associated with certain parents, their siblings, relatives, everybody. The only reason why you are born together is because of a repayment. There is some repayment connected with all of them. Beyond that, there is nothing that you have to be attached to them. Remember, once you die, they are gone. And do you think the next life you know who you are going to be born to? Or did you know who your parents were in previous life? No, you don't know. So why does that attachment come in? It's a question that you need to ask yourself. You need to, go internally to find where is this attachment coming from? Why am I feeling so compassion? The emotions come. But the same thing, you will not feel for somebody else's kids. It could be your neighbor's son. Do you think you'll have the same feeling? Oh, it's my kid. So I feel, oh, I am father, I'm responsible. Do you have the same love for a neighbor's child? No, you don't. And that is the difference. Why is this? Because you think you have given birth to your child. You think you're born to some parents of yours. But please remember, there is nothing like that. And that is what we're going to be learning in Bhagavad-Gita. Lord Shri Krishna is going to explain this truth about it. About this human birth, the existence, why we are born. Everything you're going to be learning in detail. And this blind attachment, because of which Dritrasht led Duryodhan, Dushasana and all of these great teachers, they ended up fighting an unrighteous war. But please remember, when the Lord is there, only the righteousness wins. The goodness prevails. The glory, goodness, everything will prevail where there is Lord Shri Krishna and there is Arjuna. But first, you have to become that Arjuna, where you will have to get empowered. I'm sure we are all feeling this state currently, Even in our world, oh God, sometimes you want to fight your parents or you want to fight your siblings. We feel, no, I don't want to fight. I don't want to hurt my mother. I don't want to hurt my father. How can I say this to my husband? He's my husband. We become a martyr then. Oh, I'm the one who has to suffer. It's okay by me. I don't want to pain them because they are my relatives. They are my friends. No, there shouldn't be any attachment. You need to empower yourself to stand up for what you believe in. Even it means whether they are your relatives, friends, whoever they might be. It doesn't matter. And this is exactly what you will be learning here. How do you empower? How do you fight? Even at work, you will feel, oh, this is my boss. I can't do this. I can't fight. Why does that weakness come in? Where is the strength that the warrior that you are goes away? Why do you forget that you are, you forget that you are the warrior and you have to fight? That goes off. And then this emotion comes in. Same thing, Arjuna is also facing the same dilemma now. And today, Lord Shri Krishna is actually going to teach you how do you overcome this dilemma. Even with us, right, as a woman as well, we think, oh, I cannot, do this against my family. I want to go to work, but I don't know how I can go because I feel I'm committed to my child. Who's giving all these reasons? Arjuna. Like Arjuna, you're also giving all these reasons. See, if you need to do something, you have to empower. And that empowerment means you have to fight the war within you. And what is that war? Overcoming your emotions, overcoming your own reasoning, believing that, no, I am this doormat, I am somebody like this, I can't do this. You will have to overcome all of that. And that is what the Lord is going to teach Arjuna. So let us learn what happens now. Arjuna said, Krishna, see, as I see these kinsmen arrayed for battle, my limbs give way, and my mouth is getting parched. Nay, a shiver runs through my body and hair stands on end. Oh, there comes. I'm sure we'll all feel this, someday you feel very low. I don't want to do this. I don't want anything. I don't want to fight, We become coward. You know what? These are the qualities of a coward. I don't want to say that, but that's exactly what happens. We become weak. We become a coward because we don't want to do something. Where it means you have to go against certain people, certain, whoever that might be, certain relatives, be it work, professional life, personal life, wherever that is. And you feel, you don't want to hurt them. You don't want to do this. Why? Because you think that is wrong. That is from your perspective. And this is where Lord Shri Krishna is going to give a clarity and understanding what is righteous and unrighteous. It's not what we have been taught. All that we have learned, the right and wrongs, have been taught by our material worldly teachers and by our parents who themselves don't know anything. And it's all the knowledge that they have has come from our forefathers who also have no knowledge. Because the right knowledge can only be imparted by the Lord himself. Nobody else can. So all that they have learned is very much the basic. Vedas cannot be expounded by anybody except the divine himself. So whatever the knowledge people think, they say, all these Brahmins who have learned the Vedas and Shastras, they're only learning the bookish aspect, which is a wrong misinterpretation or a wrong interpretation. Now, here Lord is going to give you the right understanding, the interpretation, the truth behind what it means is what Lord Shri Krishna alone can expound, nobody else. That is why our Vedas, our scriptures, everything is codices. The secret can only be deciphered The truth in that can only be deciphered by the Lord himself. And this knowledge is not for everybody. It's not, especially it's not for material worldly people. Those who don't have faith in the divine and those who doubt the divine, this knowledge is not for them. But only to those who believe in the divine Lord. Those who really want to evolve spiritually, this knowledge is only for them. So let us continue. The bow, Gandiva, slips from my hand and my skin too burns all over. My mind is whirling as it were and I can no longer hold myself steady. So what is happening? His mind is talking too much. He's having too many thoughts. How can I do this? What? And have you ever seen when you are in that state of dilemma, what happens? You cannot focus. Number one, you've already lost the focus. Then what happens? You feel incapable. The ability that I can do doesn't exist at that moment in time. Then doubts assail. Thousands of doubts come. How can we do this? How can we do this? I can't do this. I cannot do this. I am weak. I am suffering. I am this. I am that. All the signs, the mind is always going to give you dime a dozen negative. You're already on the downward spiral. You're going downwards. You're feeling low. You've already lost that faith that you can do it, that I can, I will, I conquer doesn't exist. How can I? This cannot happen. Not. All the negatives possible the mind is actually going to give you. And it's going to give you a very, a terrible picture about what can happen. Imagination is, going haywire. Your mind is imagining too many things. So you're not even going to be able to reason. Your intellect is not going to reason out. You're completely lost. You're completely deluded. That is the state. And does it resonate with you? We all go through this day in and day out. Something small should happen, then you wonder, oh, why is this happening to me? Why should I fight? Why should I do this? We don't accept life the way it is. That's the problem. We all have an expectation about life, about everything in our world. We don't want to accept things the way it is and, have the strength to face life and fight life. And that is what is missing. And that is what Lord Shri Krishna is going to beautifully explain to us. So, and Keshava, I see omens of evil, nor do I see any good in killing my kinsmen in battle. So what is he saying? Omens of evil. So now evil is coming in just because he's going to kill his kinsmen. Who is talking this? The mind is talking. Does Arjuna even understand what is the truth? No, he doesn't know. And he's right now lost into his mind. We dwell. The mind goes, how this downward spiral happens? The moment you get one negative thought, it goes on and on and on and on. And it gives you a very, scary picture in front of you. And then you're seeing all sorts of things happening. And then you lose that confidence and you believe something terribly bad is going to happen. According to whom, the right and wrong or good and bad is according to your mind. According to what you think you have learned. So we end up taking decisions or believing, oh, this is exactly how life is going to be. And then we make a judgment and we assume that, okay, now if I do this, this is what something bad is going to happen. So I should refrain from doing without even having the right knowledge and understanding. And right now, Arjuna is going through this. Please remember, you and I are that Arjuna. We all go through this day in and day out. Even if you don't accept, this is the truth about life. Lord Shri Krishna is talking about this human body. Everybody, that Arjuna is you. It's not somebody else. There is no Arjuna outside. It is me and you. So how do we now get out of this? That is what we need to learn. Krishna, I do not covet victory, nor kingdom, nor pleasures. Govinda, of what use will kingdom or luxuries or even life be to us? Doesn't it feel like a deja vu? I'm sure we all have said at some point in time, I don't want this, I don't need this property, you can take it and go away, I just need to be free, I don't want to do this, I don't want to fight this. Many a time, when we don't want to fight something, we end up giving this kind of reasoning. I'm sure it echoes you right now. We'll say, Krishna, I do not covet victory. Oh, I don't want to achieve anything in my life. Why? Because you don't want to stand up. You're scared to face the world. You're scared to face people, problems. You don't want to fight. You're afraid. And that's a coward. It's an attitude of a coward. Nor kingdom, nor pleasures. Govinda, of what use will kingdom or luxuries or even life be to us? Who are we to judge what this is or not this is? If the Divine Lord wants it that way and He has programmed it that way, who are we, that is you and I, to say, oh Lord, I don't want this, I don't want this luxuries. But the point we don't understand is we have already come with a prefixed destination. If the Lord wants to give us something, He is going to either ways give, whether you like it or not. There are no choices in our life, and this is what we fail to understand. And this is where Lord Shri Krishna is going to tell to Arjuna, please remember, whether you like it or not, you still have to do this. Whatever you have come here for, you will have to do your duty. Bhagavad-Gita, the way of life, is all about knowledge, duty, love and devotion. And that is what Lord Shri Krishna represents. Please remember, the Lord has never said to become an ascetic, sannyasi or whatever. Being the highest of the spiritual master, we say to Him, Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum, the master of the universe. Yet He performs every action completely being detached to the highest of His ability. There is no perfection like Lord Shri Krishna on this entire universe. To be Him is not an easy thing, and that is the way of life which the Lord is now going to teach Arjuna. So let us learn, and please remember, stop saying these things. I'm just giving you an understanding how we 99% of the times say these kind of words. I don't want this, I don't want to do, I'm afraid, I don't want to fight some things. We don't want to face our life. That's the reality. We don't want to accept the truth in life. We all expect, we want the life to be like, hunky-dory. It's like the Cinderella story. That doesn't exist. It's only in fairy tales. Reality is far than the truth. So the truth is what you need to understand. And that is why we say truth is bitter. So when the truth comes to you, it feels very bitter. But that is what you need to accept. And once you accept and once you follow the Lord's way of life, I'm telling you, life will become that bed of roses for you. Life will become that very beautiful fairy tale. It's what you can create. There's nobody who can make it for you. You can make it. So let us continue. Those very persons for whose sake we covet the kingdom, luxuries and pleasures, teachers, uncles, sons and nephews, and even so, granduncles and great-granduncles, maternal uncles, father-in-law, grandnephews, brother-in-law, and other relatives are here arrayed on the battlefield, staking their lives and wealth. So what is he again telling? He's just cribbing. And what is he saying? Oh God, look at all these, my uncles, everybody has, staked their wealth, kingdom, riches, luxury, everything. What is the use if they are going to die on the battlefield? If all these people are going to die, then what is the use of that kingdom or those luxuries that I'm fighting for? But it doesn't mean that those luxuries or the kingdom is meant for your uncle or thing. See, we always think from a selfish perspective. Arjuna is only thinking from his small point of view, I, me, myself. Can we see the whole world? Are you not telling it's for me, my uncle? What is he saying here? Those very persons for whose sake we covet the kingdom, luxuries and pleasures, teachers, uncles, sons and nephews, and even so granduncles, great-granduncles, maternal uncles, father-in-laws. He's given all the list. Where is the world here? He's not talking about the world. We're only talking about his relatives and everybody else. But please remember, the war that you fight or whatever that you want the righteous things to happen, you should never think about it as for you. Always think, how can I be useful for the world? It is about the world you have to think. It's never about I. Here, it's all about I, me, myself. I am incapable. I want to achieve this. I want to do this. We're always thinking about I. Can we go beyond this I? There was a very beautiful story I listened to this morning. I'll give you in a very simple, short form. There's this father, and he's supposedly to be an income tax officer. So he had two sons. So he said, his son says, all your life, you have been working very hard, really hard. So we want to take you for a holiday so that you can enjoy your life. So I believe they go to this resort, and in that resort, there is something called a blue room. And you just buy this AR/VR glass and you get the view of a lifetime that you would never ever have imagined. It's kind of a view. So this first his elder son goes and he buys that time, for viewing that beautiful thing for about 5 minutes, and he pays 5,000 rupees. And then he comes and tells his father, Dad, I have bought this thing for you so that you can enjoy it. So first question the father asks the son is, how much money have you spent? And he says 5,000 rupees. Oh, you've just wasted money. You just, so easy to waste money. I said, no, you go. It's supposed to be one of the best things in life that you can ever enjoy. So the father goes there, and there is called the changing room, and once you change, you have to go beyond that. So obviously this old man didn't know about it. He didn't have much understanding. So he goes there, he wears the glass, the dark color glass, and he sees nothing. And he's like 5 minutes gone to drain. So he comes back and he scolds his son and says, no, you wasted my 5,000 rupees. Why did you waste money? It's gone to the drains. The same thing repeats 3 times. The second time, the younger son goes and buys that time so that he can go into the room again and do this. So once it repeats, the third time they buy it for 10 minutes. So this time that old man spends 3 minutes, and after that he goes forward and he sees there's some cupboard. Let me open that. And once he opens, that is where he gets that view. And that 7 minutes, he says, oh my God, this is the most beautiful moment of my life. I wish I can get few more moments of extension, some more time, living this beautiful thing. I've never experienced something like this. It is very beautiful. And he feels so loving. He just feels so excited. He feels his life is worth living at that moment in time. And then he comes out and then he says to his son, I'm so glad you got this, I didn't know the earlier that I had to do this, but this time I was able to find and I discovered the most beautiful moment in my life. What does that mean? That means that, we are so narrow-minded. We only think about ourselves, but we are not. The moral of this story was, you have to open up your world. You have to open up the world to see the world in a different capacity. And when you do that, then you think there is a meaning and purpose to find. And the moral also means that, God creates this beautiful universe. He creates this beautiful world for us. And there are many people who say, oh, I don't like this world. It's not the place I want to be. I don't want to do this. And they're just waiting to go back. But there are few people who discover that, purpose of their existence, and they understand how beautiful this world is. It's what you make out of it. God has made this world as a very beautiful place, but it is for us to use that life to serve for a better cause. The purpose is very important. It is not just confined to I, me, myself, or my family. And that is what we have to go beyond. And how do you go beyond is what here Lord Shri Krishna is actually teaching. So let us continue. O slayer of Madhu, I do not want to kill them, though they may slay me, even for the sovereignty over the 3 worlds. How much the less for the kingdom here on earth. This is Arjuna talking right now. Oh, he's martyr. He's crying, he's whining, he's telling Lord, Lord, I don't want to, I do not want to kill them. Though they may slay me, even for the sovereignty over 3 worlds. Even if he's slayed and he gets 3 worlds, he doesn't want that. And how much the less for the kingdom on earth? And the value of the kingdom on the earth is very less. So why should we fight? His whole point is, I don't want to fight. Simple as that. And that he's whining, My Guruji will tell, you people whine like this Arjuna. And see, had Arjuna listened, day 1, 18 chapters of Bhagavad-Gita wouldn't exist. And time and again, Lord Shri Krishna need not have to manifest, and the advent on earth need not have to happen. And since we don't understand the lessons of Bhagavad-Gita, he keeps coming back again and again and again to teach the same lesson. So whether you take Srimad Bhagavatam or Uddhav Gita, the last message of Shri Krishna to Uddhava, he's still teaching that. But see, Bhagavad Gita is more to, win in this world and how do you live a righteous life. But Uddhav Gita is a holistic view to how do you live this life itself. So both, you can listen to my Krishna Guruji Satsang for a detailed explanation and understanding what do you do beyond, this whole life also. In Uddhav Gita it is mentioned, in the sense, how do you evolve spiritually as well. But here also we'll be learning the way of life. So here we wonder, why do I need to? All these kind of whining we do endlessly. We don't listen. No matter how many times the Lord teaches you the same thing. Like my Krishna Guruji, sometimes I feel very sad at him, 21 years, more than that. He's teaching the same thing painfully over and over and over and over and over again with lot of patience. I'm saying painfully, he doesn't feel the pain, but I feel sad to see him so much painstakingly he teaches. But do you think we absorb even 1%, that dot, at least a little dot of knowledge? No, we don't. Why? Because we don't listen. We don't even focus. We don't want to do. This I don't want to listen is because of our own nature. So that is what we have to overcome. Like Arjuna, we also don't want to listen. So 18 chapters of Bhagavad-Gita, and how many times does the Lord has to manifest to give the same knowledge? He'll say, what is the one lesson in this entire Bhagavad-Gita? It's just one line. Lift your bow and arrow and shoot. That is all. Just do it. Like my Guruji will crack the joke 19. I'm sorry. It's a PJ. But it's all about just do it. Why are you bothered? Please remember, the end result is never in your hands. So why are you thinking something will happen? Oh, these people will die, the killing. It's already destined. It's already preordained. So who do you think you are the one who's killing them? So this is the knowledge which we also don't have. I am jumping too ahead in Bhagavad Gita, sorry. That's my excitement. But that is what the Lord is going to teach us. And here Arjuna is still crying, and we also cry. What is going to happen tomorrow? Well, whether my parents will be good, my daughter will do well, my son is going to do well. Will I have a better future? Why are you bothered? Live for this moment. Today you worry about. Don't even worry. Just surrender. Surrender to the divine Lord. Just do your job. Do your duties in time, consistently, and in the most righteous manner. That is all is required. And please remember, everything depends also on hard work and arduous effort. Nothing comes easy. So if you want everything easy, then you're not going to evolve at all. So please never ask things easy. You have to put your efforts. Till you don't learn, you can't evolve. Okay? So let us not whine. Let us not become this Arjuna. Krishna, how can we hope to be happy slaying the sons of Dritrasht? By killing even those desperados, sins will surely accrue to us. Who is saying? Does he know anything about sins accruing or not? So all this mind talk is happening. Likewise, we also think, oh, if I do this, this will happen. I shouldn't be doing it. How much we yo, and how much battle we do in our mind and dwell on our subjects and objects as though we think we have too much knowledge. And that is where you need to cut the crap. Tell your mind, just shut up. Don't talk. And you stay focused and never get into this, because this is very easy to get into this way. You go and meet any person on planet Earth, they will go through this. In their life, they must have done this 99% of the time. And that is what happens to a human being. We are never focused in our life. We are always bothered about what is the outcome, what is going to happen. But first, do your job. Why are you bothered about the end result? If you have to fight, just go fight. Why are you afraid? Don't be afraid. Therefore, Krishna, it does not behove us to kill our relations, the sons of Dhritarashtra. For how can we be happy after killing our own kinsmen? So again, he's saying the same thing. Do you see? We also whine in the same thing. When our Guruji teaches, he'll give us explanation. And then, how we'll talk? Guruji, but, of course Guruji knows. Of course, but why is this but coming? Likewise, Arjuna is doing here. He's telling, Krishna, if I do this, again my relatives, this will happen. He is giving the permutations and combination of things that can happen. And by the way, still Krishna has not begun yet. Arjuna is still whining and trying to say how bad is right now all this thing is, why he should not do, why this war is the wrong thing, who's saying to whom. But this is our life. Do you resonate it? We also, and when my Guruji is teaching, many a time we'll go question him. What? If you do this but, this will happen. My Guruji will say, why is this ifs and buts existing? Why are you saying if and but? If I'm saying go do, just do it. Why don't you listen? And because our mind is throwing these kind of things many a time, it's not willing to first listen at all. So we have to give up this. We should not do what Arjuna is doing here. Even though these people with their mind blinded by greed perceive no evil in destroying their own race and no sin in treason to friends, why should not we? O Krishna, who see clearly the sin accruing from the destruction of one's family, think of desisting from committing this sin. So what is again Arjuna saying? He's telling how much sins can accrue, what all can happen, and we can desist. We don't need have to fight this war. Just because the enemy is greedy, they are ready to kill their own race and everything, they destroy their own family. But we shouldn't do. Why should we become like that? All these things he's telling. Who's doing this? Mind talk. What is it all about? Mind talk. The mind is giving him all these explanations, reasoning. It's trying to say, oh no, you're doing something wrong. Please don't do it. What happens then? It's all these great pictures. The mind will always tell you this kind of very interesting stories. So that is what we should not get into. Age-long family traditions disappear with the destruction of a family, and virtue having been lost, vice takes hold of the entire race. What is simply meaning is, see, he's talking about how, when there is a war, what happens is the family tradition, everything will get destroyed. And then the enemies will get married, to the intercaste, the race will get contaminated. All that he's talking. But how should that matter? Does he even understand what is all this about? He doesn't know. So right now, his mind is telling all the reasons why he should not fight. Have you ever gone through this? Your mind is going to tell you, no, you are right, and it will give you all the right reasons, making you believe that action should not be performed. I'm sure we all have faced, but first, to understand whether that action to be performed or not to be performed, you need to first understand the truth, and that is what the Lord will impart. With the preponderance of vice, Krishna, the women of the family become corrupt. And with the corruption of women or descendant of Vrishni, there ensues an intermixture of castes. So again he's telling what happens, which is what I just explained. So he's continuing with the same thing. Progeny, owing to promiscuity, damns the destroys of the race, as well as the race itself, deprived of the offerings of rice and water, Shraddha, Tarpana, etc., the mains of their race also fall. So he's talking about when the race is contaminated, when they are married, and what happens. So Arjuna is going to all the length and breadth to say how this is going to destroy the entire lineage, the race, and how it's going to be contaminated. All that's going to happen is what he's saying. Through these evils, bringing about an intermixture of castes, the age-long caste traditions and family customs of the killers of kinsmen get extinct. So all this race will go away. That's what he's saying. Krishna, we hear that men who have lost their family traditions dwell in hell for an indefinite period of time. Again, whose explanation is all this? So this is what is happening right now is that Arjuna's mind is reasoning. It's reasoning to Lord Shri Krishna and appealing to him. Look, if I do this, these things can happen. It's going to destroy my race. It's going to destroy my family. It's going to destroy everybody that exists. So I should not get into this. So this mind is giving him fantastic reasoning. Okay? And I will quickly finish. We have only a few more verses. So I'll finish with the first chapter. So next chapter tomorrow, we'll see what the Lord has to say. Oh, what a pity, though possessed of intelligence, we have set our mind on the commission of a great sin, that due to lust for throne and enjoyment, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. It would be better for me if the sons of Dritrasht, armed with weapons, kill me in the battle, while I am unarmed and unresisting. So, Arjuna has already said everything that he wants to. This is what happens when a person is in that negative emotion or emotions. Forget about positive. It's about feeling low, feeling down. When you think you don't know what is your future, when you think you think there is no answer for you, you don't know what to do. When these kind of things happen to us And it happens most of the time. We end up feeling like this, a miserable person, lost, and we want to just give up. What he's trying to do is giving up. I don't want to fight the war. That is exactly what Arjuna is saying. And now, that is what we also tend to do many a time. We accept life, the defeat. We say, no, it's fine. I've accepted my life. And that could be in any way. It could be in your marriage, it could be in your job, it could be in anything. You don't want to fight. Just because you had some failure, something is happening, you don't want to fight, you accept the defeat. And you don't go take that lift that bow and arrow and shoot. You just want to say, okay, I give up. It's okay. That person is winning. I don't want any of these things. I don't want to, grow in my career. I don't want to, come out of the rut that I have created in my marital life. Nothing. We just want to give up. This is what Arjuna is in us. That's the Arjuna, you and me. So how do we overcome? That is what Lord Shri Krishna will teach. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, whose mind was agitated by grief on the battlefield, have spoken thus, and having cast aside his bow and arrows, sank into the hinder part of his chariot. So here we are ending. This is what Sanjaya is telling whom? He is telling Dritrasht what is happening in the battlefield. So with that, we end the first chapter. Thus, in the Upanishad, sung by the Lord, the science of Brahma, the scripture of yoga, the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna ends the first chapter entitled The Yoga of Dejection of Arjuna. So have you all felt the dejection in life many a times? Of course, yes. Now in the next chapter, let us understand how do we overcome this dejection. Thank you all for joining Sri Bhagavad-Gita Satsang. Once again, have a very good evening and a very good weekend ahead. See you all tomorrow at the same time. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha, Om Shri Gurudev Datta, Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Digambara Digambara Shripad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Guru Nathanatha Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.